Welcome to the Seven Figure Builder Show. My name is Julie Baranek, founder of Seven Figure Builder, where we help high achieving CEOs connect with their dream clients to scale to seven figures and beyond. And I'm here today with my friend Emma Johnson. Hey, Emma.
Hello.
I am so excited to chat with you today. So, first and
Awesome.
foremost, where in the world are you?
So I'm tuning in from Brisbane, Australia today, but as you can probably tell from my accent, I hail from the UK and brought my family over to Australia 4 years ago.
Wow, that's quite a jump.
Absolutely, absolutely. But life, you only get one shot at it, so you might as well make the most of it.
So true. So, for people that haven't had the pleasure to meet you yet, can you tell us just a bit about what you do with your business?
Absolutely. So my name is Emma Johnson. I'm founder of Emma Johnson and Co. And I'm a business and mindset success strategist, which kind of encompasses it all. But my belief is really solid that business without both a solid mindset and strategy is a hobby. At the end of the day, you need both. They're like the two oars in a boat. So I help coaches, therapists, online service-based business providers to create wildly successful businesses online, free from stress and overwhelm the uncomplicated way. If you want it, you can have it. It's just about figuring out how to do that.
I love that. And you hit on something huge right away, but like business so often feels so complicated, but it doesn't have to be. So, what do you tell people? Like, how do you help people really simplify down to the basics of what it is that they need?
So what I find often when I'm working with clients is they come to me in this massive state of overwhelm. And my clarity around that is literally the definition of overwhelm is you're just looking at too much of the picture at any one time. So take those little bite-sized chunks, like the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel did not get painted in a day. You know, you've got to take one brushstroke and move forward. So really what I'm about is removing that noise, really, really getting clear on what people want, because so often we're caught up in what other people are doing, what other people are saying, comparisonitis, and suddenly our to-do list becomes this massive, massive chore, and we've lost sight of what we wanted. So really, like the first thing I'll do with any client or anyone, even if I'm talking to like a mum in the park, is and they're telling me about overwhelm at home, is we break it down. It's like, what do you want? And that question in itself is usually really challenging for people. They're, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, well, of course it's feeling stressful. Of course it's feeling overwhelmed, because there's just no way that you can achieve your goals and dreams if you're not laser focused and crystal clear on what they are. No one else is going to achieve that for you. So simply get clear on what you want. Remove the judgment, remove the criticism, remove the limitations, know what you want, and then we can start putting steps in place to help you achieve that.
I love that. And then my other favorite question is, what is the problem that you solve? I find that's almost equally as challenging to ask for so many people because for both of them, if you're not sure exactly, what you're trying to accomplish, it's very difficult to accomplish it or feel like you made any traction to get there.
Absolutely. I was literally talking to a client yesterday and she was saying to me, like, how do I find my ideal client? And for me, the big thing is around make sure you're asking the right questions. Because when we dug deeper into that, it wasn't a problem of how do I find them. The reason she couldn't find them was not because of the countless strategies that are out there. She wasn't unclear on who the ideal client was. So I said, imagine you rock up at some music festival and you go up to somebody and you say, can you help me find my friend? The first thing somebody is going to ask you is, well, what do they look like? What's their name? And I'm not saying we need to go into that granular detail for an ideal client. I don't believe that we need to name our ideal client. I think there's a whole, that's the whole question in itself. But just understanding those details so that when you come across the person, you recognize that that is what you wanted. So that's like, what do you want? Who do you want to work with? How do you know? Ask the right questions. And if you're not getting the answers, it's generally because the nuance of the question is slightly off. So reframe your question and then go at it again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Yeah, so many thoughts with that. Like, you should be able to describe them like they're on a missing persons poster. Like, you don't
Mm,
have to get to you mentioned like the most granular, they're wearing purple socks. Like, you don't care about that necessarily. But personally, I know you mentioned about the name, and there's lots of things people do with that. I like to name my dream client because I write to
mm,
her. And in all my copy, like I've nailed down exactly who I want as my dream client. And I write everything directly to her, and all my copy speaks to her. So I can call out 1,000 more people like her. So that in and of itself is so incredibly powerful. And if you don't know
mm.
who that person is, you're going to, if you're speaking to everybody, effectively you're speaking to nobody.
Speaking to nobody. Yeah. Famous last words, that one.
Absolutely. So once they figure that out, how do you recommend that they really understand the needs and the problems of that dream client?
Yeah, so that's the whole essence of my ideal client. It's not just about what they look like. I actually generally start with what is the problem? What's going on in their heads? What are they saying? What are they thinking? What are they doing? When they're speaking, are they speaking to themselves? In which case, how are they speaking? What's the language that they're using? How are they speaking to other people? So that's where my take on ideal client focuses less on the name, the hair color, the age, but it's really about what is the problem, and what's that overarching, what are those feelings, what's the situation like for this person. And that leads into then things like demographic as well, location, values, income, all of those kind of things. It kind of gets enveloped in the way that that person speaks to themselves, the way that that person holds themselves. And then where do they want to be? So we look at the entire journey. Think of it as A to Z, or A to Z for my American friends. And then we are that little piece in the middle. And I say little because generally speaking, it doesn't take an awful lot to shift somebody from stuck to unstuck. But in their minds, it is absolutely monumental. And it's our job in this field as coaches, as therapists, as service providers, to be able to make that journey, make that leap from A to Z the most succinct, sustainable, all the S words that we possibly can.
Absolutely. And everything you described sounds like a lot of work. So how does that actually simplify things? Because I know it does, but how does that make things so much easier in your business?
So that for me forms the foundations. And whilst it is a lot of work, and I'm not going to like dismiss that, that is the bit that requires the work. And if that bit hasn't been given the attention that it needs, everything else becomes so hard, because that's the piece that you need to feed in. That's the piece that you need to feed into your sales page. That's the piece that you need to feed into your offers. That's the bit that goes into your social media copy. That's the bit that goes into your podcast episodes. If you're not so crystal clear on who you help, how you help, why you help, everything else will fall apart. And that's the piece that I see when I'm working with clients that, perhaps are already at six figures, but they're looking to scale. I hate to say it, but you can get to six figures accidentally. There is a way that you can get there, and you can do it fast. I did it very fast in my business. I grew to six figures within the first 9 months, and we were at multi six figures by 12 months. I'd like to say that was intentional. So that's my mantra, is intentional. But you can fall forward in that. But when you're looking to grow your business, when you're looking to scale your business, there needs to be intention behind that. And when you put that effort into really, really clarifying where you sit in the landscape of business, like who are your people? Because not everyone is your person, and they don't need to be. Where do you bring your secret sauce to the mix? So do that work. Yes, it sounds hard, but that is your business. And if you can't put that time and effort into getting those foundational pieces in, then you will have to put the time and effort to pick up the pieces later on. So yeah, I'm going to say that is the hard bit, probably the hardest bit of your business. But it doesn't have to be it, because when you drill down into it, it's What do you want? And that doesn't have to be difficult. So I have clients saying, I want to help. I want to help somebody overcome smoking, for example. Awesome. But is every single person who smokes an ideal client for you? No. You have to drill down into where are they now? Where do they want to be? And why do they want to work with you? What do they want your help for? What's the personality of the type of person that you want to work with? And when you're laser focused, it's irrelevant then when people start coming along, if there's a negative comment or there's, trolling on social media, because you're in your lane and you're like, that's fine, but you're not my ideal client. The person that as you said, I'm writing to her. That is the person that this content is there for, not the people who don't resonate with it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That is the hard part of business. But it will make your life and business so much easier if you get it right first time, because you're not going to have to be redoing it again 12 months down the line.
Yeah, that and the more clear you are on it, the more when those trolls or those people come along that aren't the right fit, it's like, thank you for telling me that I don't need to waste my energy on you and I can just focus on who I really want to help. Not everybody's going to be your dream client. And that's the clarity that you have to get to, is who is that person? Why am I wanting to help them? And so that you can focus your energies there and, cut down on all the stuff that you shouldn't be doing at the same time.
Absolutely. I often give a funny example around that one. And I say to my clients that if you were a vegan, would you be worried about what the butcher had to say about your business? No. No. And it wouldn't stop you going ahead with your mission and your message. You just absolutely recognize, yeah, but I don't serve you. You're not my ideal client, and your lane is your lane. And I wish you well. And I'm really, really happy for you. But it wouldn't impact your belief in your business. And that's where I guess I want all women, all business owners to be really, really clear on, you are amazing. Society has conditioned us and it's thrown in like those mind monkeys, all that negativity. But when we get back to the core of it, who we are, what we stand for, like what's important to us, who's important to us, get rock solid on that. Don't worry about, the next fancy piece of tech. And you and I both, tech geeks, loving it all. Don't get fancy about the next shiny object. If something isn't quite as you want it, that for me is that little notification. Just go back, check in with what you want. There we go. Simple.
Yes, it is. I agree with you. So to the systems portion of it, I know we're both systems geeks and I love that. But what is the biggest gap that you see that people have in their business, or things that they don't think about that, you feel is missing?
Awesome question. So the thing that I find most people jump to is, well, we've talked about that clarity piece already, but there isn't that clarity really around what's going on in their business, what they need their business to achieve. And they jump straight into outsourcing. And then becomes the headache of suddenly you're a business owner and now you're managing a team. And we haven't actually nailed what it is that we're doing. So I find that people then suddenly start doing everything for themselves. They're like, oh, well, so-and-so can't do it. I can't get them to understand what it is that I want. And generally, again, speaking, it's because that clarity piece around what is my business about? What do I need it to achieve? What do I want it to do? So I have a process. It's called my add to delete process. So I automate, delegate, and ditch process, where we look at everything that you do in your business. And we start with an audit, literally, of what do you do every single day? So just taking a moment, taking a step back and really thinking about, I check my emails, or I reconcile invoices, or I send a contract, or I'm booking calls, or I'm delivering product, or whatever it is. Get really, really, really anal about it and write that list of everything, including I've scrolled social media, I spent 2 hours on Instagram, I was responding, whatever it is. Get really, really laser focused on that. And then have a look at, first of all, well, what doesn't need to happen at all? let's have a look at all of the things that I'm wasting my time on. And generally speaking, that comes back to that overwhelm task and we start busying ourselves with things, fooling ourselves that we're actually moving the needle forward when actually what we're doing is filling time. Get rid of that. And then have a look at any areas of your business where you are duplicating effort. So for me, I work with clients one-to-one and in a group program. It's absolutely essential that I'm able to book clients in. And you and I, we had a little chuckle when we booked this podcast because I'm in Australia and you're not, and booking times. So get yourself a calendar booking system, an automated calendar booking system that will calculate time zones for you. If you need coupon codes, discount codes, and go find the system. Don't just grab something because someone else is using it. Just understand what you need something to do in your business. So for me, that's like number one priority, have a calendar booking system. You need some kind of email system as well. You need a way of looking after your clients. You need to be capturing, building and growing your audience and nurturing them through. Having things like that. If you are working one-on-one with clients, then you're going to need some kind of agreement, digital agreement system. I very much work online. So for me, having a system that can do that is absolutely essential. But even if you're working, face-to-face with clients, that ability to connect and grab those details. Some way of capturing information about the clients that you're working with. So intake forms or onboarding forms. So look at what it is. What are your processes that you're going through? How do you want to take payment? Do you need to invoice? Can this be done remotely? Look through everything that you're doing on a day-to-day basis and make a note of all the things that you're doing over and over and over again. And then map that to a system first. So it's automate first. Automation for me is any task that should not be done by a human. That's not you, and definitely not paying some other human to do it. And we're not taking jobs away, but what we're doing is we're streamlining the business, allowing the business to be its most efficient self, to operate without you needing to be in there every moment. And then, and only then, can you have a look at the other tasks and think, well, what do I love? And I would say, hold on to those. If you're really, really passionate about creating your graphics or writing your sales pages, then hold on to that. That's something that, you're going to shine at. But if creating the graphics, Canva is my favorite tool, but if creating graphics is something that is sucking your client-facing time out, then that's a really good indicator that that's a task that can be outsourced. If managing all of the techie questions, the support questions for clients in your programs is something that you don't enjoy, it's taking away from your coaching or training time, then absolutely train somebody up because that needs human touch. But before we dive into, I need to grow my team and then suddenly become an HR manager, again, I go back to keeping it simple. What do you want? What do you do? And break it down task by task.
I love that. And in doing that process, what do you find, like how many hours can people save potentially?
Oh, enormous. And it's not just hours that we're saving, it's money that we're saving, because if we're doing those things, that's, look at what your equivalent, I don't charge by the hour, but look at your hour equivalent rate. And then also look at how much you would be paying a good VA or EA to be doing those things. So in terms of finance, you're saving, but time. So I don't want my virtual assistant to be using her time or money to be completing tasks that could be done by a system. So we look to automate all of that, but it just absolutely hours. I couldn't put a number on it, but when we get that piece right, and that doesn't come first either. I don't encourage people, don't go in and charge in and put in systems. You need to understand what you want out of your business. So finding that clarity then translates really, really easily into a system that works for you. And again, I see so many people copying the gurus. They'll look at the really, really big names and they'll be like, well, they're using this system and it's got too many bells and whistles for, you know, somebody at six figures does not necessarily need the same systems as somebody at multi-seven figures at all. A six-figure business can be run with yourself and in just the smallest of teams. In fact, I've worked with clients who you grow to low six figures, and it can just be you if you get the right systems in place. So absolutely hours and hours, and getting that right means that as you're ready to grow, as you're ready to scale, people can slot very easily into your business.
Yeah, no, I love that. And the other thing with that is it's so important to map out what it is that you're automating before you automate it and get that clarity, because otherwise you just make a mess faster.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And that's what I've seen people have come to me in the past and they're like, Emma, can you build out my workflows for me? And yeah, absolutely, I can. But the first question is going to be, well, what needs to go into that in the first place?
Right.
So it's not just a case of, well, so-and-so is doing it this way, or they've got, you know, this system. And for me, actually, just because a system can do everything doesn't mean that you need it. So I see a lot of people growing their businesses thinking, I need to be spending X amount on a system and I need it to do everything. Actually, again, just go back to that. So what do you need it to do in your business? What kind of skill aptitude have you got? What do you want to be doing? Do you want to be in there nitty gritty? Do you want to have to pay a team to be doing it? Do you want to understand how that works? Do you want to set it and forget it, essentially? So there's lots of things to consider. But again, it's about coming back to what you want before charging in. So don't allow overwhelm to influence your decisions. Don't be distracted by the latest, greatest new offer. My belief is everything happens for us exactly as it's meant to. So if you're meant to fall into a certain offer, it will be there when you're ready to make a decision about it. You get to choose. Sometimes the price will have gone up, but that's okay because you've done that intentionally. It's aligned to you and it's manageable for you. But when we believe that everything is happening for us, there's more than enough opportunity and we get to choose, my prosperity pillars, then business really does get to be simple if you let it be.
Yeah. And we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but how would you encourage business owners to have fun in their business again? Because so often it becomes, like you said, so overwhelming, but how do they enjoy, just having their business and growing it?
Such a good question. And it's true. Like we all get consumed, don't we? I think it's about being clear on, what success looks like for you. And does it just mean money? Does it just mean hustle? For me, it's very much about creating a life and a legacy for my children and being around for my children. So setting things up that allow me to achieve what I want, which is essentially I work school hours and I only do client facing work 3 days a week because I want to be flexible to go and do things with my children. So really, really dialing in again, I'm going to harp on about it, on what it is that you want. I have it written around my office all of the time. I remind myself what my mission is, what my vision is, what my goals are. I also have really clear boundaries around client time. So that when we were talking about setting up those systems with calendars, I have set work hours. I am grateful that we managed to slot this in Australia waking time. So there's always those exceptions.
Not 1 a.m. your time.
Yeah, not 1 a.m. But yeah, so how do we have fun? It's not losing sight of why we're doing this in the first place. It's about remaining connected to what's going on. So make sure that you have a life outside of your business and that you're prioritizing that as well, so that it doesn't become all encompassing. Setting really strong boundaries for yourself in that I'm not going to overlap work with pleasure. I think, and then just keeping it fresh. So just being mindful Things will work, things won't work. That is not a reflection of who you are. It's a snapshot of your business in that moment. You have the choice to come, step out, look back. You get to do what you want. So you get to stop, you get to start. Nobody else dictates that. And if you believe that they do, then I would say go back and remind yourself, who's boss of your business? Why did you start your business in the first place?
I
You've
love
got
it.
it.
Absolutely. And you've accomplished a ton and with your family and everything else, but how do you define success? What does that look like to you?
Again, probably not necessarily the same as everybody else, but it's about being able to live life on my terms. I had a bit like you, Julie, I had a big corporate career before I got into business, and then I had my boys. And perspective shifted for me when I became a mum. And it really, really reminded me that my time on this earth is very precious. It is very limited. And part of my role is to create some kind of legacy for my kids. So success for me is seeing my children happy every single day, being free and available for them every single day, being able to support others to realize that for themselves and to move forward in that for themselves. If I've done that, seeing my client testimonials come through and go, oh my gosh, light bulb moment. It was just that one thing that you said. And then they're able to go forward and create that same legacy for their families and their clients in their part of the world. That for me is, I've fulfilled my purpose. And as long as I can live out my fullest potential without regrets, so I'll go for it, I will fall forward, I will make mistakes. That for me marks success. And when you focus on those things, if money is your measure, the money will follow. But when we focus only on the money, that's when we can suck the joy out of what we do, and we can make things more complicated because we're trying to force something that is meant to be organic and meant to flow.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. And when it's financial goals, those tend to continue to shift that when you're chasing them, because you achieve that and it's like, okay, well, what's next? Right. So I love that. And it's just so powerful when you're achieving what it is that you've always dreamed of, and that flexibility in your family and everything else, which is just awesome.
Absolutely. I think, money is one measure.
Mhm.
It's one of those tangible things that you can say. But, at the end of the day, if you've got a 7-figure business with 7-figure outgoings, you don't have a 7-figure business.
Then there's that.
So it really, really isn't for me about what the numbers say. I know it's a gauge for a lot of people, and it's a milestone. It's an aspiration for a lot of people to hit that next goal because it's something tangible. We can see it on paper. But actually, success is deeper than that. It means more than that. And it's a very personal thing, which is why I say don't compare yourself to other people, because you don't know what their measure of success is. You only know what your measure is. And live that and love that.
Absolutely. And if you had the attention of the whole world for 5 minutes, what would you tell them?
You get to have exactly what you want. You just need to be clear on what that is. So go back to the simple. We as humans have made our life more complicated than we need it to be. We try to live up to other people's expectations, sacrificing our own. So just remember that we came into this planet not expecting anything, and we'll leave it that way too. So you might as well enjoy the bit in the middle. Be clear on what you want. Don't worry about the how until you know what the what is, because everything, quoting Marie Forleo, everything is figure outable.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, thank you, Emma. This was a lot of fun chatting with you. I really appreciate you being on today.
It's been such good fun and connecting from across the pond. Amazing.
I know, I love it. And if you found value in this episode, please do share it. That's how people find us. And you can find me at sevenfigurebuilder.com. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.